guys, and welcome to today's Bookmas vlog, wherein basically we're going to be going through every single book on my physical TBR, sitting down and counting them, and then actually figuring out which ones are my most anticipated ones to get to in 2026. So let's just hop right in, because we all know my TBR is getting out of control, out of hand. I easily have at least 200 books on there, and today we're actually going to figure out how many. So for context, back in 2023 and then last year as well, I went through a huge book buying phase to the point where I was buying more books than I was consuming, and we all know at this point that I've managed to ascertain the fact that I enjoy buying physical books, but when I read, I love reading in the form of audiobooks and in the form of Kindle ebooks. So in the middle of everything, what is happening is that I'm buying these books and they're getting added to my physical TBR, but then I'm consuming other books through other mediums, and then these books are getting neglected. So in the new year, I kind of want to be showing my physical TBR some love too, and to start getting through some of those, and I feel like what better way to motivate me to do so than to kind of sit down and count them, firstly with y'all, so I can start holding myself accountable for how many I've got in the first place. And then secondly, I figured if we can go through all of the books on the TBR and you can see what I've got, and say there's like a book on my TBR that you've read and you've loved, maybe you can let me know in the comments so I have like urges to get to them faster. And I feel like also this is kind of like a way to catalog at this point in time how many books I've got, because maybe in a year's worth of time, next year I'll be sitting down for similar video or whatnot, and then there we'll figure out how much I was actually able to read and make a dent into my TBR. So it's kind of like a goal to look forward to. And then lastly, I figured we can also be doing this so that as I go through my own TBR, I can pick out my own personal most anticipated ones to get to for 2026. So because they are in my forefront of the mind and they are as a set TBR in the form of this video, again holding myself accountable, I know I have to get to them in the new year, and because they're right in front of my face, they're right in front of my mind, I know it's not going to become like a back of the mind sort of concept wherein I forget it over time, which is why here we are. That's what we're doing today. Lots of explanation going on here, and hopefully you understood what I'm trying to say, because at this point I don't even know what I just explained, but that's basically the plan. This is kind of like an evolved version of the 2026 new releases video I made a couple days ago, wherein I was speaking about the new books that are coming out, because while it's always fun to look forward to new releases, I feel like some of the books on my TBR are definitely older that I also want to be showing love to, and next year will be the year that I find a good balance between both of them, or at least that's my goal. So I think we can just jump right in. We can start off doing all of this, and that's the plan basically for today. I figured firstly we can actually sit down and start by counting all the books on my TBR, and this is kind of awkward because as I'm recording this clip, I haven't gone and sat down and like counted a single book, so I don't actually know how many are on there. But I figured we could go shelf wise, because my top shelf, the first one in my bookshelves, is for fantasy, the second is for romance, the third is for mystery thriller, and the fourth, the last one at the bottom, it's kind of for like literary fiction but then classics, and it's really mixed with all the minor genres that I have a few books of, but they're not big enough to warrant a whole shelf for themselves, so it's kind of like mixed. And the thing is, I would love to go in the sense of genre and whatnot, but if I do that, we'll probably end up going mad, because at this point some of the books are mixed up by shelf, and so that's what we're doing basically. We're not going to go by genre, because some fantasy is in the top shelf and then some's all over the place, and then the same thing applies with all the rest, which is why we're going to go shelf by shelf, counting each book one at a time. And so let's start with that right now. As I'm speaking, like I said, I haven't recorded the clip, but after I'm done speaking, I will go do that. So as I'm editing, I'm actually going to cut this clip so you can see me counting. But now for every single book I have on shelf number 1, this is the clip. Okay, shelf number 1, this is fantasy. I know I've read quite a bit of it, but then again it really depends, so let's just start. These I know are not fantasy, the first two at the top, but here we are anyway. I have gone ahead and reread this. I have read that. This one I haven't. So this is number 1, starting off strong. I know I've read none of these. This is kind of scaring me, so let's start counting. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I've read these. I've read this too. 23. And I think I've read all of these. So 23 books on fantasy. I don't think that's so bad, but then again, it's a big scary number. I lied. I just realized that I haven't read any of these, because I thought I read the entire Harry Potter series from back when I was like in middle school and stuff. And I did, but I've had this ever since then, and I just never went back to it because I didn't want the world to get over, which is why we have 3 more books on here. So We've had 22. This is 23, 24, and 25. That's how many books I actually have on fantasy. And the rest of them I have actually read. So the entire Harry Potter series, an extra copy. In Cursed Child, I do remember reading it at some point, but I don't actually know if I finished it. But at this point, I'm not even sure if I'll ever get back to it. So it's there on the shelf. Maybe it'll be like a 26, who knows, but this is again up to interpretation. And hopefully that wasn't too many, because I do believe there's a little bit of fantasy that I've gotten a dent into on my shelf, but then again it really just depends. Now moving on to shelf number 2, these are all the books I have, majority of which is romance on this one specifically, and this is the count. Okay, so now we're moving on strong to romance, one I'm actually kind of scared for, but then also it really just depends, and it feels like I'm outing all of my secrets at this point on the basis of how many books I keep buying but haven't read. So let's just get counting. Firstly, I have this stack over here that doesn't actually fit in the rest of the shelves because I've got way too many books at this point, which is why this is over here. And so let's start counting. I've read all of these. I've read that too. I haven't read this, so that's number 1. I've read that, also read that, haven't read that. So 2, 3. Now moving the stack aside. Moving on, this is number 4 because I haven't read this. I don't even know why I haven't got to these yet, but this is 4, this is 5. I've read this, I've read this, I've read all of these. I've also read all of these. So that's good progress, but now is where it starts getting scary because 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Continuing on 4th because I put the stack back because of immediate OCD. But now this is number 12. This one I have read. So moving on. 13, 14, 15. Have read this. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I've read this. 22, 23. Also read that. 24. I've read this. 25, 26. Read this. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, but then this is like 5 books in one, so I'm just gonna count it as 34 because it's 1 on my physical TBR but it's 5 on my shelf, so it really just depends. But I've read this. 35, 36, 37, so we've come in a lot more stronger on the romance side of things in comparison to fantasy, but here we are anyway. And again, hopefully that's not a crazy number because I do know I've read quite a bit of my romance shelf too, but then at this point I keep buying romance books, so I'm not really sure and I'm a little scared for this one specifically. But then now moving on to our 3rd shelf, which is the mystery shelf, the mystery thriller shelf, and this one I know I haven't read a lot of, so I'm a little too scared, but let's count. Okay, now moving on to my mostly mystery and thriller shelf, and this one I'm most terrified for because like I said, I don't think I've read a lot of these, which is why the count is going to be much higher than anything else. But let's start. Firstly, in the corner over here we have the stack of books that came in the mail earlier this week, and I've actually gone ahead and read all of them, and so I just haven't had the time to go ahead and sort them into their own specific shelves, which is why they're here in the empty space. But yeah, I've read all of these, so already off to a good start because I don't have to count any of these, thank God. If I'd have to, or if I did, God, I know I'd be dying of a heart attack right now, but here we are. Okay, so it's counting time for the actual shelf. 1, 2, 3, 4, I've read that. 5, 6, 7, 8, also read this. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I read this when I was a kid and I really want to go back to it, but then at this point I don't even remember anything, so I'm not actually sure if this counts or not, but I'd say it doesn't because I've already read it once, twice maybe, and while I would like to go back to it, it technically counts as a reread. So moving on, 20, 21, 22, 23, I've read this. 24, 25. This tiny one here in the crevice, don't you think I forgot about that? 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Read that. 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. Read this. 42. But then it's 2 books in one, so I'm not really sure. But 42 because it's only 1 on my physical TBR. 43, 44, 45, and 46. That is crazy. This one shelf's amount should probably be how much a person has on their entire TBR, not one shelf unread, which is horrible in terms of consumerism, but yeah, here we are. That's crazy. And again, crossing my fingers this wasn't too crazy because off the top of my head, I can only remember like maybe 4 books I've read from that entire shelf, and I know that's not a good sign. I know it's probably gonna be really, really bad. But then at the same time, at this point, I'm only sticking to buying books, physical copies of the ones I've already read, which is why I'm hoping it's not too much, but we'll just have to see. And now lastly, moving on to my final shelf, the fourth one at the very bottom, the mixed one. This one's gonna be like a mixed bag. I honestly cannot assume how much will be in there because some are books I've read, some are just there. So let's count. Last shelf, we're on a roll, so let's just get started. First one, good sign already because I have read this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a thick one. 5, 6, 7. I actually started reading this when I was in like middle school, but I only read like a couple chapters, and then after that I never got back to it. So it's technically on my TBR because I read only like maybe 2 chapters from a borrowed copy, realized I needed my own, lockdown hit. By the time I actually got my copy, well, here we are. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This is not mine technically, but then it's also on here and maybe I'll read it someday. I've read that. Sprayed edges too. 16. This was technically supposed to be for like school. Even this one was for school, but I never actually got to them, but they're on the shelf anyway and maybe one day. So 16, 17, 18. Wow, that's actually crazy. I don't know if I'll ever get to it, but I wanted to at some point, so maybe I will one day. Coming in close for the next one so you can actually kind of see the title because the horrendous lighting makes it honestly disgusting to look at. But continuing on forward, we have 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Ignore this thing up here, it's actually my wireless Kindle charging dock. But moving on, we have 24, I've read that, 25, 26, 27, 28, they're also tiny, 29, 30, 31, and I've already read this, so I don't need to count that. But it's crazy because they're all so small, but I still haven't gone back to them, and I can probably finish them in an afternoon, so I don't really have an excuse, but here we are. And so again, hopefully that wasn't crazy, but then now moving on, since we counted every single book on all the 4 shelves, now let's add up the count to see how many actually have total on my TBR, and the number on screen that you'll see at some point right now is the total amount of books, the final amount I have on my TBR. Hopefully it isn't wild. I'll go do the counting now and actually figure out how many are there so I don't like freak myself out when I come in again in a sec. But that's basically the thing that's going on, and these were all my books. If you are wondering, I did not take each book out of the shelf to show you because frankly, I don't really have it in me to sit down, take one out, show it to you, put it back in its spot and keep doing that, because at this point, that's gonna mess up my shelves, number 1, and number 2, I just don't have the energy. So we're gonna skip past that. Hopefully the book spines were enough for you to certain titles and stuff, and then now force me in the comments to actually get to reading those books because that would be really nice. But basically this is where we're at. This is basic like any college student energy. With all the work I've done in the morning for college, I'm a little too exhausted to do anything else right now, which is why here we are. But now I'm actually gonna go record all these clips of the counting, and then I'll be back in literally less than a minute with all the books I am anticipating out of the ones I showed you for 2026. So that's what we'll be discussing. But now I'm actually gonna go count. So pray for me that I don't freak myself out when I figure out the final number. But here we are. Hi guys, it's been like a couple hours because I got distracted and whatnot. My sister got back home from class, we were hanging out, then I was hanging out with my mom. Basically I forgot about this, so I'm back now. I ended up going back, counting every single book, doing all the shelf stuff, and then recounting everything to make sure I got it right. And at this point I'm not even sure if it's correct because my math is so bad. At this point send me back to nursery school so I can count again, because every time I'm counting I'm getting like 2 different numbers and stuff. And so I'm gonna say I have 141 books on my physical TBR. I'm gonna go reconfirm after I'm done recording this clip to make sure I'm giving you the right number, because it'll be so embarrassing if someone notices on video what I'm counting and they're like, wait, this doesn't add up to be correct, and then I'll just be like, oh my god, I put that on the internet for everyone to see. So here we are. I will definitely go confirm in a sec, but still, even if it's 141, even if it's not, if it's somewhere around that number, that is still a crazy amount of books to have. It's not as bad as I thought. Let me preface by saying that I genuinely went in expecting 200, so I feel so much better. But 141 is still not good because that's a crazy amount. So hopefully next year I will get to some of them, start making a dent in the TBR. I'm gonna use it as a thing where I'm getting into my TBR and I'm trying to break it down year by year, so I won't say I'm reading all 141 in the span of next year, because let's be so for real, firstly that's not happening, and secondly I feel like if I've got all these books I have an entire lifetime to read it. I don't want to force myself and make it a chore and then make myself hate reading by making it a goal wherein I have to do 141 in a year. So we'll just have to see. But basically at this point I've read 244 books in this year, and that's a good number, but it was like a mix of like new releases and physical books and then other audiobooks and Kindle books, and that's the kind of reading I want to do next year, wherein I'm reading for myself, kind of enjoying what I read. And so while that's going to happen, I'm definitely going to start working and making a conscious attempt towards reading a little more of my TBR, not forcing myself to actually finish the whole thing, reading just a few more books than I normally would year by year and kind of breaking it down that way, because I'm not adding to my TBR anymore, the physical one. I've definitely limited my book buying, but regardless, I managed to sit down and shortlist about 26 books that I want to get to in 2026. So that feels perfect. These I'm definitely getting to by hook or by crook, because I have videos planned. I really want to get to them. I've been seeing them around, and because they're on the TBR, I have no excuse not to. And so thought we could just like jump right in, kind of speak about them for a little bit, and then that's the video basically. To start off with, I have a little stack I pulled out of my fantasy shelf. These are the books that I've been honestly hyper fixating over in the past few weeks, because these days I've been like getting back into like reading fantasy again, and now I have no urge whatsoever to like pick up other books. I just want to be reading fantasy. Right now I'm reading a bunch of Christmas rom-coms to make a different Christmas video for you, which will be coming up soon, but right after that I'm going back to fantasy because I'm having the best time with it. And so I have a few picked out, not too many, but then I feel like this is just the digestible amount because I enjoy consuming fantasy in other forms, and so I'll be reading these, but I will be reading more fantasy in other mediums, so it's all happening regardless. And firstly, we have none other than Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I feel like next year is finally going to be the year I do it. Even last year at this point I said that I was going to read it and I never got around to it, and I don't know why, because I've been seeing amazing quotes, I've been seeing amazing scenes, people are obsessed and hyper fixated, and they say it's like the best book they've ever read, and everyone's obsessed with like Kai and stuff, and like I just want to give in, and I finally want to feel what people are feeling, and because I have the copy, I have no excuse not to. So this is the first one that's definitely going to happen in 2026. I'm making a whole vlog on it and everything. If y'all want it to be a full spoiler vlog with like breakdown of my thoughts, let me know, because I can do that, but otherwise it'll be like a non-spoiler for the whole series, and I don't mind because I've been waiting a long time to do this. So this is the first book, and also look at how gorgeous that cover is, so how can I like not? Next up, still in the shrink wrap, we have A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This is the third one in ACOTAR. I know it kind of blends in with my background, but please ignore. And this is still in the shrink wrap because I got it a couple years ago. It was the morning after I finished ACOTAR because I needed to see where the series would head out, but because that back then I was like forcing myself to go according to like plans I made and stuff, and the way I would plan my content 1 month ahead and stuff, I never got to it because I was doing the other planned things and it just never happened. So I read ACOTAR, the first one, in 24, around the time the new book was coming out in Crescent City, and then I read the second book of ACOTAR this year, and hopefully next year will be the year I actually finish the series out because I want to see where it goes. I can't wait. These are some of my favorite characters ever, and at some point when I'm doing the video, I'll be doing a full spoiler vlog like the other books and whatnot, and I'll be popping this open and having a gala of a time because I'm so excited to see where the story continues. I think a couple of months ago I actually reread Asimov, and ever since having reread it, this is the only thing on my mind. So it's happening in 2026 regardless of the size and stuff, because this is one book I want to read so bad, and because I have it on my TBR, why am I waiting? All I need to do is pop the shrink wrap and get into it, so it's gonna happen. Last couple ones I chose for fantasy because again I don't want to overwhelm myself, and these books I definitely want to get to in 26. I don't want to put in a bunch of random books to kind of make the video aesthetic, but then I'm not actually gonna get to them. These are ones I actually want to get to, which is why I've limited the number, because like I said, I prefer reading fantasy in other mediums and whatnot, but I'll get to these anyhow. The next one, it's Iron Flame in the Fourth Wing series, the second one, because again I read Fourth Wing, the first book, 2 times this year, had the best time. First time was with my cousin on a buddy read. Now she's actually been asking me to go back and read this because she's actually continued and finished the series, what's out of it so far, and she's had the best time ever. She has all these like vivid reactions she keeps speaking about, and at this point I want to see what she's talking about. I want to be part of the club. I want to go ahead and do the deep dive in with her, and listen, I just want to read it, so I will. Again, there'll be like a full spoiler vlog at some point on this too, and I cannot wait because this is going to be such a gorgeous experience, because I actually bought the one with the edges around the time it came out in my country, and they don't sell this version anymore, so I get to read a fun special edition of a book that I'll hopefully enjoy and have the best time with, because it's bigger, but it's happening because I want to see where it goes again after Fourth Wing ended up on the biggest cliffhanger ever, and so I'm really excited for this one too. After this, another obvious one, but this is Onyx Storm, so as soon as I'm done with like Iron Flame, I can go ahead and read this. I'm sorry I'm like slow to show them on camera, but fantasy books are like so heavy to like move around, which is why I'm lagging almost, but I'm not a Dell 2005. We can just continue speaking. basically this is the third one and fourth wing, and again I'm just so convinced that after I'm done with Iron Flame I want to jump right into this, and so I will, because around the time this came out this year, again the time I bought it because I wanted the edges to match my version of Iron Flame, I saw all these people making like reaction videos to having read this in like 24 hours and having all these like honestly visceral physical reactions to it, and I want to feel that way. I want to be gut wrenched. Is that a bad thing? Absolutely not. So I'm gonna do it. I'll do it back to back hopefully at some point in the year. I'm thinking towards the beginning so I can actually have a fun time and again kind of dissect this with my cousin, see what her thoughts are, kind of figure out my own opinion of this, because some people are conflicted about it, but I can't wait to get to it regardless. And so this is next up. Again, it'll be a fun one because it's pretty too, and then getting to look at this as I'm reading, that's gonna be so cool, and I love this cover so much. Now after this, I have 2 stacks, a whole bunch of romance books picked out, because let's be so for real, even if I'm gonna transition into reading fantasy slowly, I'm always gonna need some palate cleansery romances in the middle, and even if they're not palate cleansers, I'm just gonna need romance in the middle, because let's be so for real, that's gonna be my favorite like genre ever, hopeless romantic here. And so I have so many picked out at this point that I can't wait to get to in the new year. It's frankly like illegal, the fact that I haven't gotten to them yet, which is why here we are. Firstly, we have like book talk cult classics, the first one being The Spanish Love Deception. Seen great things online, heard the tropes are amazing, some scenes they like truly got me, which is why I got this in the first place. And I've had this for so long now that I can't wait to actually read it and see if the hype is real, because people, the way they go on and on about this book, I need to understand and kind of figure out how I want to be part of that club now, kind of see why people actually yap about this, because if this is as good as they claim it is, then it's going to be one of my favorites ever, because I am a hopeless romantic, like I said, and I'll have the best time reading. After this, again, book talk cult classic, I have The Love Hypothesis. I actually read a couple chapters of this, I think, on my phone or whatnot, around the time I started getting back into reading, because I saw people like hyping this up, and I saw people in my physical real life actually reading it. And the thing is, I don't see a lot of people in real life reading. Not someone I knew, it was just someone I saw in passing in like school back in the day, but they had like copies and stuff, and there were so many other people reading to the point where I actually bought into the trend, read a couple chapters on my phone, realized that wait, this is actually kind of good, because I hadn't read any romance back in the day at that point. And so I was like, I'll get myself a copy and get around to it, and then I never did. So I'm gonna reread those first couple chapters that I started on my phone, on my physical, but then at that point too, I'll be making like a video where both of these are in it, so we can kind of like judge book talk classics and see if they're actually good or not. And so this is definitely happening. Sorry about the cover, because I can't really help it, I hate that, but apart from that, yeah, I can't wait to again experience this book and kind of see if it's worth the hype that people have been yapping on about, because it might be the best one ever if it is, because of the scenes and quotes I've seen, and can't wait to get into it. Next up, we have the 3 books off of Emily Henry's adult, I guess like women's fiction books with like a romance subplot that I haven't read yet, because at this point she hasn't announced a new book in the new year. So I'm assuming we won't be getting a new book next year, which is great. Honestly, I don't even mind at this point. If she needs the time to take it off, recuperate, I'll always be there every time she comes out with a new book anyway, because I'm a huge fan. And so I'll be sad whenever she comes out with a new book in the next few years, and until then I figured to tide me over I could read the other books I haven't read off her backlist. So we have Happy Place, which is like a second chance romance, obviously gonna be the best time ever because that's like my favorite trope. We have Funny Story, which was last year's release, and this one, they say the guy in it, I think his name is like Miles or something like that. I'm not really sure because it doesn't say. It says, yeah, his name is Miles. They say he's a lot like Nick Miller from New Girl, and if you know anything about me, you know that I'm absolutely obsessed with Nick, so let's pray that he is anything like that, and this book might be, again, one of my favorites ever. And then lastly, this year's new release, Great Big Beautiful Life. I've heard conflicted things, but then it's Emily Henry. I want to form my own opinion because she's my favorite author, and so can't wait to get to this at some point too. And when I do, for all these 3 books specifically, there'll be like a whole vlog in its own, kind of reading the rest of her backlist and maybe finding a 5-star out of it. Who knows, because they're my favorite ones ever. So can't wait to get to them, and they're definitely on my 26 TBR too. Now next up, we have a few like, I guess, cowboy romances you can call them. Firstly, I want to continue Elsie Silver's backlist because this year I read like Chestnut Springs, had the most amazing time ever. And so I wanted to read more. I actually bought the first couple books of Rose Hill, these, but I never got around to them because I was like, I'll wait for the next book, and then by the time all the books came out in the series, I haven't heard such great things about the 3rd and 4th ones, and so I'm not buying into them yet. But I do have the 1st and 2nd, and so we'll start the series. I've heard great things about these 2 specifically, with like scenes and quotes and people everywhere giving it 5 stars, so I can't wait to get to them, and I will next year. And again, there'll be a vlog wherein I'm reading Rose Hill, so these 2 and then the other 2 maybe on Kindle or something like that. And if I end up enjoying them, I will get them because the spines have these like mountains on them, which look so cute lined up together. And listen, Elsie's cowboy romances are unmatched. Her small town aesthetic, the vibe. Can't wait to get to these. And so this is definitely happening in the new year too. Another cowboy romance series that I want to start in the new year, because the only cowboy romances I've read at this point are Elsie Silver's, and I really want to branch out, is this one. It's called Done and Dusted by Lyla Sage. Do not laugh at me when I say I want to branch out, because this is like the most obvious one apart from that when you go look up cowboy books online, but I haven't read it yet. And my friend actually got this for me for Christmas, I think last year or the year before that, I think something like that. Pretty sure it was the year before that. So I have no reason not to get to it again, because there's like 4 books in this series, I believe, so we can like binge all 4, and then there's gonna be like a TV show or something that's coming out. So have the best time with like cowboy small town romances, which again I love so much. Kind of listen to some country music and then lock in for this show when it comes out and whatnot. So this is also happening in the new year, because I've been seeing great things, and I don't necessarily like this whole situation on the cover, but I feel like the art style is cool and the rest of the covers are also cool, so can't wait to get to that. Now for my second stack of romances, because again, I'm always going to be a hopeless romantic at my core. I'm always going to be a romance reader, and so there'll always be an excessive number of romances in my videos. You're just going to have to deal with it if you're watching me. And so here we are to continue off on the trend. Now I have a bunch of second chance romances, because I don't know if you know my favorite tropes and whatnot, but if you don't, second chance is my number 1, and so I have a few collected here that I can't wait to get to in the new year, because I've been seeing great things. Firstly, starting off strong with Love Redesign. I got this again a couple years ago, still haven't gotten to it because I saw great things around the time it was released, but then now I'm actually going to lock in, because I've been seeing quotes. I've been having the best time kind of just looking up stuff and looking up reviews and seeing people give it 5 stars, so now I want to give it 5. And the cover is pretty. Purple is my like favorite color ever, so I love the way it like looks and whatnot. And because I actually read, I think like a Lauren Asher book, I'm not sure if it was her book or something like that, but I'm pretty sure My December Darling, when I read it last year, it was hers, and I had a really good time with it. So I can't wait to now lock in with like a full-length book, not a novella of hers, and actually see how that goes, because again, second chance, it's gonna give me everything I ever wanted, and it's a slow burn too, because it's like bigger. So those are my favorites ever. Can't wait to see how that goes. And we have this. We also have Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Now, if you know anything about me, Christina Lauren are definitely in my top 5 authors ever, even though I've only read a couple books by theirs. So next year, a goal is definitely to read more of their backlist and stuff. And I posted my 2026 like new releases video, and then a couple days later, they announced their new book for 26. So now, even though that isn't part of that video, all I'm gonna say is I can't wait to read that one. I can't wait to read this. I can't wait to read more of theirs. And so this is definitely happening, because again, second chance, I believe it's at like a cozy like cabin and whatnot. And then not just that, I do believe the guy's called Elliot or something like that. People, the way they speak about him online, he's like the OG book talk book boyfriend. And if this gives me like the cozy comfort book vibes that everyone goes on about, the way I feel about their other books, then well, I just want it. So here we are. This is the next one we've got. After this, I have another book, which is a second chance, and this is The X-Vows by Jessica Joyce. I got this for my birthday this year. My little sister got it for me because I was seeing it everywhere. Again, a second chance book, getting all the hype and 5 stars online, and I really wanted to read it, but then I never got around to it. And they say this is kind of like Happy Place by Emily Henry. So when I read that and I end up loving it, as I obviously will, then I can't wait to lock in for this one, because it gives like summer vibes and stuff. And so maybe next year over the vacation and whatnot, but this is definitely happening because I want to see why people are so obsessed with it. I want the second chance vibes, and I want to have the best time ever. So I will, because it's also got like marriage setting, and I love when books are set in like a marriage and whatnot. It's not the characters who are getting married, but they're like side characters in someone else's plot, and they're still falling in love. And that, again, it just gives like 2000s rom-com vibes, which is why I want it. So here we are. This is the next one I've got. After this, these are seemingly like unrelated, but these are all I've been meaning to get to sometime or the other. The first being Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This was her last year's release, I believe, and I only started getting into her books this year, but I've loved everyone I've read of her so far. I've already got like 2 5-star reads by her, and people say this is her best one ever. So I have a physical. I can't wait to get to it, and I will, because the cover is pretty. The characters, they're like featured in like other books I've read by her, so I can't wait to see them get their own story. And the concept is like honestly kind of amazing, so I can't wait to like read about it and actually figure out how that works, because both of these people, every time they like date someone and they break up with that someone finds their forever someone, and these guys are always the one before they're the one. So they are trying to break their curse by kind of getting together, except they start falling for each other. And so again, amazing concept. She's like the queen of like the best romances ever, and so can't wait to get to this, and I will soon. Now this one, we've got quite a thick one over here. It's called Binding 13. Again, I've been seeing it everywhere online, but the thing is, I've never gotten to it yet. I've been a little too intimidated because of the size. Look at that. That's crazy. How big even is it? It's just 800 pages. It doesn't look like it, but at the same time, it does. I don't know why this looks like 1,000 pages to me, but this is 800, and I don't know how I'll read this on the physical and not on my Kindle at some point. Maybe if I switch over. But I want next year to be the year I read this, because people say this is like gut-wrenching and some of the best stuff they've ever read. So now I can't wait to read it too, because they say this is not just romance, it goes so much deeper, and I love when books are like that. I want like more of like a connection and more things going on, and if this makes me sob and this becomes like my favorite 6-star series ever, then who's to say 2026 won't be the best year ever? And so I'm so excited again to get to these next year. I will definitely, and well, this is on my TBR, so maybe I will lock in over like a weekend and see if I can knock this whole thing out, but it's definitely happening. Now this one, I said it right after that one, even though this is not a gut-wrenching book, I think. I just put it because it's like, again, bigger in size, but this is another slow burn romance or whatever. This is called By a Thread, and I read a Lucy Score book for the first time this year, and I had the best time ever. So I was thinking around the time the second one in her new series comes out next year. The first one's called Story of My Life. I read it this year. I think the second one is like Mistakes Were Made or something like that. When I read that next year, I kind of want to be reading this around that time too, because I had a good time, and I've been seeing people give this one a lot of hype, and you know, the concept again is amazing to me, so can't wait to read it, because I do believe this is Grumpy Sunshine and I really enjoy that too. And if it's slow burn, you know I'll be there, especially with like the cutest cover ever, and so this is happening. Last one on romance, even though I don't know if this technically qualifies as romance, is Magnolia Parks. A couple of years ago, I really wanted to read it like really bad, which is why I got the physical, but then I never got around to it. And then now I have the original cover, and I will keep buying the original covers of the series if I end up liking it and whatnot to kind of complete my stack. But the thing is, I wasn't sure at some point if I wanted to get to it, because I read like the first page of the first chapter and it seemed good, but at that point I wasn't really ready to get gut-wrenched. But at this point, I have gone ahead and finished watching Gossip Girl this year, and people say that the couple in this kind of remind them of Chuck and Blair from there, and that was my favorite couple from Gossip Girl. So if this gives me anything like those vibes, because I really miss it, then I will read it, because I know there's like cheating and stuff involved in this, but I'm ready to go in with an open mind if this gives me Chuck and Blair. And so here's to hoping and praying that this kind of fulfills my Gossip Girl dreams. But here we are. This is the next and final one we have on the romance stack, depending on what sense you want to consider this one specifically in terms of genre. But hopefully it'll be good, because it's again a longer, thicker one, and people cry every time to it. So maybe I'll cry, maybe my life will change forever. We'll just have to see, but this is there. Now for some mystery thrillers, in comparison to all the other stacks I'm showing you, I have only 3 books on this one, and that too I added in one extra at the last moment because I felt like it was a little too less. And so that's going to be a little intimidating at some point, because I definitely have like a bigger shelf of mystery thriller to get to in comparison to my other shelves, and I will. But at this moment, at least in this point in time, I'm not really gravitating towards mystery books. I want to be reading more romance and fantasy, and so I'm giving myself what I want. Maybe later in the year if that changes, and I know it will, because my moods change like crazy. I change them like hopping trains and stuff, and so when it happens, I will pick up more mystery books. But at this point, I want to only commit to 3, because I know I'll definitely be getting to these next year. But then do not worry, the rest on my TBR, I will get to them at some point. It's definitely happening, maybe like during fall time and whatnot, because that's the best time to read thrillers in my opinion, and so it'll happen. But until then, these are the ones I'm 100% reading next year. And the first one is, again, Book Talk Cult Classic, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I still don't know how I haven't read this one with the hype it's been getting, but then also I'm really bad at getting to my TBR. So next year hopefully will be the year I actually lock in with this and kind of read it and kind of figure things out, because people are in love with this, and there's like a Netflix series or something like that on it. So after I'm done reading, I can definitely go watch and stuff, because I do believe it has like the girl in it who was playing like Wednesday's best friend in Wednesday when that happened. I think Enid, I don't really know the actor's name, I'm so sorry, but Enid, she's gonna be in here as the main girl from here, Pippa. And so I can't wait to read this and then go watch Enid play in a different show, and that would be fun too. But then yeah, this is also gonna happen, and so hopefully this is as good as people make it out to be, because if it is, then this is gonna be right up my alley, and then I'll be so mad at myself for not having gotten to it sooner, but this is there. Next up, we have The Last Word by Taylor Adams. Now, I read one of his books, I think towards the end of last year, No Exit, and I had the best time ever, so I wanted to lock in this year, but I didn't, and so next year will be the year I get to this, because again, I've heard such great things. The story seems, again, right up my alley, and the thing is, it kind of follows this girl who rates this book like 1 star while she's all alone at home, and then someone's like trying to break into the house and kind of get to her and stuff. And so this kind of, maybe this would kind of make me relate to it too, because I always end up giving books like horrible ratings if I don't like them, and maybe I'll read this on like a stormy day to spook myself out, but this looks like a fun one too, and so hopefully soon, but it's definitely happening next year. Now this one, I didn't necessarily know if this goes in romance or if it goes in thriller and whatnot, and so it's kind of like a mix between the two, but I have the Mindfuck series. Now this one, I have the whole like set and whatnot of 5 books in one, which is why, look at that size. It's already hurting my hand to hold it, and I'm holding it with both hands because it's so heavy, but yeah, once I read this, once I knock it off, I'll also be reading 5 books of my TBR in one go, so that'll be perfect. And again, I've heard such great things, because I do believe the girl in this is a serial killer, and her boyfriend is the FBI officer who's trying to find the serial killer. He just doesn't know it's his girlfriend. And again, that's giving me everything. I can't wait to see their story, see the way it goes, and if it is as the way the internet speaks about it, this could become my favorite ever, because this seems right up my alley. This seems like it's the best thing anyone's ever read, and so can't wait to get into this. Everyone knows I love like serial killer like thrillers, and then mix that in with like a romance that I cannot resist. I'm sorry, this could be the best ever again to come out of 2026 for me, which is why here we are. This is the next one I've got. This technically does count as 5 books, but I'm counting it only as 1 in this video, which is why it's on here. So just think of it as 1 book. And now for our final stack, this is from like my very bottom shelf, so it's all mixed. We've got like classics, we've got sad books, we've got like literary fiction, women's fiction, whatever coming in. And so starting out strong, again in shrink wrap, we've got Daisy Jones and the Six, because there's a show that you can watch after reading this. There's this whole book that I believe is in the format of like a interview or something like that, and people love the way it's written. People say it's like unique towards this one book specifically, and anyone who reads this online always ends up like loving it and giving it 5 stars and saying the audiobook is great. So now I can't wait to lock in, because I read my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book. It was a novella last year around the time I was attending that wedding I was speaking about, because I had some free time. I was reading on my phone, and tell me why that 80 pages made me want to cry. So now I'm kind of scared to read one of her full length ones, because if 80 pages of her writing made me want to cry, how am I supposed to survive like a whole length book? Which is why I know I haven't got to it yet, but I will in the new year, and I can't wait to, because I've heard such great things. And the thing is, if I end up enjoying this, then I will definitely lock in and read the other books I have of her backlist on my TBR, because I have quite a few and people have always been raving about them, so I want to see what the hype's about. Same thing with like Good Girl's Guide to Murder and all these other books that I was speaking about that are like the first in a series, like Binding 13 and Magnolia Parks. If I like them, I'm definitely going to lock in and read more of the author's backlist and more of the series. It's just these are the first ones I wanted to include in the video as starting points for me to first make up my opinion and mind and then get to them, which is why this is the next one we've got. After this, we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Again, I've seen great things, and I want next year to be the year I start reading her books, because my sister got this again for my birthday this year. She truly slayed with the books, and so I want to lock in. I want to see what this one's about. I think it's about like sisters during like the World War, but it's set in Paris and stuff, so maybe this could be my cup of tea, but I'm kind of unsure right now because I'm not really a reader of that sort of genre, because it's like a mix between like women's fiction and like historical fiction, and there's a lot going on. So I will unpack it once I get to it, and if it becomes my cup of tea, then this could again be something that could be such a banger, such a hard hitter, because I need a good emotionally wrecking book sometimes, and if this gives that to me, then we all know I'm just gonna be such a goner for the rest of her books. And so can't wait to get to this again. I'm smiling right now, probably won't be when I'm reading it, but yeah, this is the next one. Also, the spine I thought was so pretty, and so wanted to show that. Next up, I've got none other than The Fault in Our Stars. Now, like I said, I read the first couple bits of it during like high school and stuff before like lockdown, and like around the time lockdown happened with like someone else's borrowed copy, and then I wanted my own because it was that good, but then by the time my own came in, I never got around to reading it. And so hopefully next year will be the year, because I remember really enjoying the little bit that I did read, and I know that this is like people's favorite book they ever read in like middle school and stuff, so maybe I've outgrown the age limit, but at the same time I don't think I have, because I still want to lock in and still want to see what the hype's about. And if this becomes one of my favorite books ever, then who's to say I won't read more of his backlist, because I know I have a couple books again of his. So I can't wait to get into this, see if the hype is real, and see if it is as good as I've hyped it up to be in my head ever since I read those first couple chapters a couple years ago, which is why here we are. This is the next one. Second last book is If He Had Been With Me. This is again a sad, gut-wrenching book I've been seeing people talk about and kind of cry their eyes out to. And I've had this for a bit, but I'm kind of scared that it might get me in a sense that I will be a little too shattered to read after it, which is why I've been trying to save my heart. But next year will truly be the year, hopefully in my opinion, where I start to explore more books out of my comfort range and kind of read more of these emotionally gut-wrenching books, because when I read them, I'm not okay for a week or so after I'm done, but they always turn out to be the best books I've ever read. And so hopefully this kind of makes it to that list next year, because I've hyped this up again in my head. I've been seeing great things, and I can't wait for this to again become my favorite book ever, because if it is, it's gonna be so fun. It's on my shelf already for a couple years, and if I do end up loving it, then I'm gonna be so mad I didn't get to it sooner. But this is also definitely there, and that cover is so cool, and yeah, I can't wait to read this. Maybe I'll do a whole sad books video wherein I read all the sad ones I showed you, but I'm getting to this 100% next year because I want to see what everyone's talking about. Lastly, to kind of round everything out, I wanted to throw in a classic, and I've been wanting to read this ever since I got the copy. I've just been intimidated by the size, but we have Count of Monte Cristo. I did read a chapter or two of this back in high school and stuff, when they were making us do it for literature and stuff, and I do remember really loving it, but I do believe it was in the middle of the book or something, so I'm hoping it wasn't great spoilers and stuff. But regardless, I can't wait to read this, despite the fact that it's easily over 1200 pages, or at least it looks to be, because look at that size. Because this year, honestly, I've been branching out into reading bigger books and not getting scared and intimidated by them. So next year, I'm fully prepared to get into this big book and see what it's about and see why everyone's obsessed with it, and kind of figure out if it's my cup of tea too, because the way it seems to be, this could either become my favorite book I've ever read in my entire lifetime, or the worst one I've invested my time into. And so can't wait to lock in and actually figure that out and make my own opinions on it. But yeah, we definitely have this. It's also in the shrink wrap because I'm trying not to get it messed up before I start reading. But when I do read it, there'll be a whole separate vlog for it coming, and it's definitely happening in the new year, because I want to see what people have been talking about for honestly decades at this point about this book at this point. So we will be doing this next year, and it's definitely happening, and I'll definitely branch out into more classics at some point if I end up enjoying this. So this is next up. I don't think I'll be reading this on the physical though. Maybe I'll get it on Kindle and stuff, because this is definitely heavier to hold, and I don't really think I'll be able to lock in on such a big physical book, but we will still figure it out, because at the time I got it, I was only into reading physical books. I didn't have a Kindle, but now that I do, that option's definitely opened up, and that just makes it so much easier for me to get to it sooner. And so this is 100% happening next year. And so these were all the books I'll be reading in 2026, 100% of my physical TBR, my most anticipated ones to get to. And now, before anyone comes to yell at me, I know I said these were 26 and 26, but I actually threw in 27 books in 2026 as one for extra good luck, because hopefully we'll get to them, and hopefully it'll end up happening regardless. But I wasn't able to shortlist it one down book under, and so I figured I'd just add that extra book in, because I wasn't able to cut it out. So we have 27 books here that hopefully I'll get to next year. But yeah, these, at least 90% of them I want to read next year, because these have all been on my TBR for so long. I've been eyeing them for so long, and so might as well give it to myself. And so there'll be the vlogs coming at some point of me reading them. There'll definitely be a lot of thoughts and opinions. And if you saw any book of these or of my actual TBR that you want me to get to sooner, let me know in the comments, because anytime someone tells me to get to a book, I just have it on such a priority list in my head that I'm going to get to it so much sooner. And so it's definitely happening, which is why we'll be locking in at some point reading all of these books. But yeah, this is all I had for you for today's video, which is why now we've reached the end of the vlog. Hopefully you guys had a fun time coming along with me, kind of speaking about books, kind of doing the one thing I love truly the most in the world. So here we are. Hopefully I'll see you in a year's time, where I'll be locking in and telling you that I read all of these books, and I read quite a bit of my TBR too. Haven't added a lot because that would be the dream, but yeah, these are definitely part of my ideas and goals to get to next year, and I can't wait to have some of these become my favorite reads ever, so I can go back to this video and say I told you so, because I know I'm going to end up loving these. It's just a matter of when I get to reading them, which is why here we are. Hopefully you guys had a fun time coming along with me in this vlog, kind of speaking about all of these books. And if you did, like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them. And now I'll directly see you tomorrow for our daily routine for the month of December for Bookmas, which is why take care, stay safe. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and like I said, see you tomorrow. So that's it for the yapping, and bye.